On to you Virgos out here. Hopefully y'all having a good day. So for you Virgos, you actually have the Two of Pentacles, Queen of Swords, and then you Virgos have the Emperor. I don't even need to see the goat. I already know the Emperor. uh, there's a sense of you Virgos basically moving forward, and you're not really holding grudges. Sometimes people will try to provoke you Virgos into holding grudges and getting into beef with them, right? Any kind of attention that sometimes people can get, they'll settle for. And I just think, based upon what I'm observing and what I've lived through, what I'm observing about you Virgos, right, is from based upon what a lot of y'all tell me is y'all are not really too preoccupied with that. Oh, by the way, my virtual store is being created, right? So you can go into the metaverse or virtual reality and pick anything up from the Teespring store, the Kareem Spiritworks clothing Teespring store, and it will really get shipped to your house. You could pay for it in cryptos. You could also pay for the USDs as well. So proud, to branch out and actually do a lot of the things. So it's a very amazing thing, and shout outs to y'all for really, for being able to facilitate that. If there was no you, there would be no me. So a lot of you Virgos very much so are not really interested in beefing with people. Two of Pentacles, were just thinking about what it is that you Virgos got to do. Queen of Swords, don't care about trying to get into beef with people. And then the Emperor represents staying focused on what you got to do. And, other people are essentially taking notice. They like that. And so now you have the Tower and the Star card. So the Tower represents how, and because of that, it's basically Tower and the Star card represent that is basically creating new paradigms, meaning that a lot of you Virgos are setting the record the way that it should have been set, right? That, people just being disrespectful to you is not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to go down the way that they think is going to happen. And, because of that, if they underestimate you, or if they have underestimated you in the past, that's their own fault for doing so, right? That's what it is that they get. A lot of the times people don't know that Virgo is not, see, Virgos, we're understated because we don't want a lot of people to be sniffing around asking questions. But Virgo is the zodiac sign of understatement, or being the underdog, or understatement. So a lot of us will say certain things and we won't necessarily say too much because, like it is, I said before, we don't really want a whole lot of people sniffing around. And then not only that too, but we also want people who are more perceptive. A lot of people in today's world are not really perceptive the way that they should be perceptive. They so focused on the over materialistic things to the point where they end up oversimplifying you Virgos, and they think that you Virgos are being boring. That's not really the case. It's just that it's the overall strategy. You want people to have enough common sense to continue to ask questions, right? You want someone to be intrigued and interested enough to ask questions, and not just be so caught up in the egotism and of, oh, I got it and I'm good, to the point where they miss up on you Virgos, right? They miss up on a gem. And because of that, what happens here is the fact that, so, a lot of people are starting, like I said, are rethinking the value that they have. And so what's happening is that it's getting them to really second guess their overall value and what it is that they think about you Virgos in the first place. And to rethink that maybe they're missing up on they missed a very good opportunity to be with you Virgos because they kept playing. And I've talked about this before, when a person plays all kind of games or whatever the case may be. And so what happens here is that the Star card is really all about how, since that's the case, y'all are in a position where what y'all got going on is ultimately the Star card. The Star card is about how you're busy chasing after your dreams. So And what I mean when I say your dreams, I'm not necessarily talking about money per se. I'm talking about how you Virgos are in positions to where you're branching out. It's not even necessarily about money or finances or stuff like that. It's more so about you Virgos staying focused and handling your business and doing what it is that you Virgos got to do. And so, because of that fact, a lot of you are in a position where, for you Virgos, you handling your business, it's actually benefiting you to venture out and carve out or create your own lane, because you're not like piggybacking other people for it. You're not asking other people for it. None of that. What you Virgos got going on is you Virgos are being creative and you're doing your own thing. And a lot of people can't deal with it because, like it is I said before, the more you do you is the more that other people can't necessarily focus on them. Like how many times have people disrespected you profoundly, and it was uncalled for. And then now it's like you Virgos are doing your thing. You're not really arguing with folks. You're not arguing with people at all. You're doing your thing. And a lot of people are disgruntled, or they can't really, they're shaken up or they're jarred by it. They can't really accept the fact that you Virgos have your own agency and you're moving forward. You're being able to make the choice to move forward and stay focused the way that you Virgos want to. They don't know how to accept that aspect of you. And this is what I mean when I say that, Virgo is about self-respect as well. Because Virgo is about like the real core value that you have, right? The internal value that you have. It takes us Virgos a minute for us to really understand that, because so many people, especially in our past, will try to take that self-image that we have away from us. A lot of times people don't want us as Virgos to really care about our own self-image and to really look at it from a perspective of like, we're doing better, or whatever the case may be, right? They want us to essentially just be lame, or to not really think highly of ourselves. And when I say highly, I'm not talking about it from a perspective of like hyper ego. I mean like confident. I've talked about this plenty of times. They want us to walk around with our head down and lost in thought, and we're constantly thinking about X, Y, and Z. Like, they don't want us to even enjoy anything. You know what I'm saying? That's and so a lot of us Virgos, over the years, this is why it is that, especially for us serious Virgos, we don't want people even playing those silly games where they think that they can be disrespectful to us and then come back and then be like, oh, they was just playing. It's like, nah, they got to kick rocks. It's a dub. And so now the things that the moon card and the strength card here represents how, and there's a lot of internal strength that's being transformed externally, because the moon and the strength card here, the moon, the strength, is all about how, you realize that, again, you don't have to deal with people and bicker and argue and deal with people and go back and forth. There's a sense of you Virgos understanding that the strength that a lot of people are giving to you and being disrespectful and all of that is really unwarranted. It's uncalled for. And I'm seeing that a lot of you Virgos are able to ride the wave, that, y'all thought I forgot that concept of being the surfer, riding the wave. Not, you understand that a lot of these relationships are temporary. So it's at a point where, ooh, I done tapped into something. But a lot of these relationships are temporary. And so the thing is that, they make it temporary because of how they treat you, how they disrespect you and all of that. And so there's this sense of, because of that fact, a lot of you Virgos, you interact or you engage with people from that perspective, right? You know that a lot of these interactions are temporary, not all, but some people are they're going to pull some nonsense, and then you Virgos are going to essentially see why it is that you can't take them seriously. But you just see that a lot of the strength that they try to give you with the yelling or the talking about you, and let me explain something to you as a Virgo myself. I have so many people who laugh Talk about the Moors. Talk about the Moors on another social media. Let me tell you, so many people laugh. I don't care if they laugh because the laughing is an admission of their counter counter points that they're trying to make being weak. It's like so you say that these Romans weren't Moors, but all I'm showing and proving to not only myself but to other people is that the Romans were Moors. I actually found an article, right, that says that the Holy Roman Empire was actually a part of the Moorish Empire, right? So then when you start looking at King Charles and these people being melanated, right? You know what I'm saying? You know, and then you think about it, it actually does make sense. It actually does make sense. This is the reason why it is that the Romans had such a fascination with olive oil. Because olive oil is what? Oil is what? Olive oil. Remember they said that the Romans or the Etruscans would 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 rub down with olive oil, right? And they would use olive oil as like a lotion. What does olive oil do? When you look at it, right? Olive oil is a brown, you know what I'm saying? Is a brown or like a brownish kind of oil, right? Right? What are you doing with olive oil, right? Right? It's a melanin basically. And so the point that I'm trying to make here with that is that then you have the Six of Cups. You Virgos have been getting the Six of Cups for a little while now because it's the sense of, again, you Virgos are not really worried about trying to like appease other people like that. And you shouldn't care about it because you know what I'm saying? Like you shouldn't really care about it because you try to like clean it up in the past, and what would people do? They'll start looking at you like you weird or whatever. And especially if you Virgos think 50 years ahead, 20 years ahead, 100 years ahead, blah 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 blah. So many people are thinking about 5 years ahead, or like a year, or like what happened yesterday, or one day from now, or whatever. They're not even thinking about 100 years. To be able to look at it and to see where things can be. And so now the Knight of Swords and the Ace of Cups, you Virgos can know. It represents how a lot of you're getting out of your own way. You're not going to wait. I don't see you Virgos waiting pretty much for anyone to help you out with anything and to stand in it. I don't, how do I say this? I don't think you here we go with the orbs. Y'all gotta go. Here we go with the temperature drop. Okay. So anyway, so the situation for you is that this is more so about how you're getting out of your own way. A lot of you Virgos don't really care about trying to constantly like fit in, and you shouldn't care about fitting in. You shouldn't care, right? This world wants you to be weak. This world wants you to constantly apologize to everybody who's not doing right by you. And so now that you Virgos are like, look, you doing you. You're going to try your best to be as consistent and thoughtful and considerate as possible. But at the same time, you're not a robot. You're not perfect, right? And that, and when you know that you're right, still, you're not necessarily going to be a jerk. But then at the same time, you're not always going to be the one to apologize, and you shouldn't have to, right? Ace of Cups, people who are good for you will feel you on that. The people who won't, life goes on. So let's clarify the Six of Cups. The Fool card, right. Five of Wands, Six of Wands, right. Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Wands. So The Fool, Five of Wands, and the Six of Wands, there's this sense of like they're trying to like temperature check to see if you Virgos still care about them so that they can pull stupid stuff. And the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands represents, nope, you don't care enough. And they don't like that. You know what I mean? They're trying to make it seem like they're cool with it, but they don't like it. So it's on them. Comment on the video, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, share the video. Trying to get the YouTube channel 200K. We're actually at 29,500. No, we're at 29,611. We're growing super quickly. Thank y'all so much. Smash the subscribe button, smash the like button, hit the notification bell, set the notification bell to all so you can be notified whenever I drop my videos.